Welcome back to Radio Entrepreneurs. I'm Jonathan Freedman behind the camera, and in front of the camera, we're turning the tables today. And Jeffrey Davis, chairman and founder of MAGE, is our guest. We're going to talk a little bit about what's going on in the marketplace and how MAGE is assisting clients in this uncertain time. Good to see you, Jeffrey.
Well, thank you, Jonathan. This is a change of pace for me.
Virtual high five.
Wishing everybody a good health through this crisis. But, in times of change, I've always been the most excited to work because that's what we've been all about for the last 35 years, making change, turning lemons into lemonade. And as long as everybody's staying healthy, we're finding that with certain clients specifically that are actually able to be nimble and make change quickly in certain directions. A lot of our clients that are doing that are actually increasing leads, the lead funnel and sales, and functioning better as a family in this economy than they did before.
So tell us what you're seeing in terms of clients that are perhaps repurposing some of their staff and putting a full court press on the sales and marketing functions.
Well, you say repurposing, so I'll deal with that first because I do have favorites. I won't mention names. We have a client that had a PR firm. They had agents across the country. We started to talk about this 2 weeks ago. We released the PR firm. We released the agents. We repurposed the salespeople. People within the operations of the company to be social marketers for us in terms of our tweeting, our LinkedIn, our postings. And we've created a daily flash strategy team, and we meet as a Zoom team meeting every morning. And we are now generating 40% more leads than we were a month ago. And we closed one of our biggest pieces of the business of the year last year and one of our new leads just yesterday. So everybody's been repurposed, re-strategized, and our strategy to go to market process has dramatically increased. It's really amazing. Sorry about those ringers. It's just been amazing to watch how everyone in the company has been focused on what do I need to do tomorrow? How do I need to change what I'm doing? And really staying singularly focused to doing that. And this is not what I would call today an essential business, but people are still lining up to buy what they're selling.
So are you seeing a situation where people are talk about repurposing of employees and obviously that comes from leadership and perhaps part of our role in terms of saying all right, how are you going to utilize people, but are you seeing resistance from people who are traditionally not in sales roles that are moving into sales roles, because that's one of the things that obviously is a challenge to overcome?
That's really good. And I hadn't thought about that. You have not queued me up. We do not have questions prearranged for anybody listening. Jonathan, you're probably right. The guys and women who have more of a sales and marketing mindset have been much more flexible than the leaders who have had more of an operations mindset. A lot of those operations guys are really focusing in on more traditional ways. If you're going to average them out, I'm going to make cuts. I'm going to do layoffs. How do I make my cash flow last?
Looking at cost, not looking at revenue generation.
Right. They're not looking in that way. They're not being entrepreneurial. And the ones who were much more entrepreneurial in their nature, the ones who were thinking about new market opportunities, making change with my staff, making change with my parents, my family members, they're the ones who actually, they're a little bit more apropos to this economy. They're the ones, they're shaking it up, and they always were ready to shake it up. We always had to calm them down before. Now we're sort of letting them out of the box.
Yeah, it's a whole new reality for those types of people, and I think again, the opportunity. You and I are sharing clients that have experienced that as well. They see this huge opportunity in the marketplace, and I think how that transfers to culture in the organization and making that shift for the organization for the long term is what's really exciting.
Well, again, it's sadly to say, again, as long as everyone stays healthy, I always want that qualifier. This is an economy I love because my whole life has been based upon making change and redefining goals and then moving towards those goals. So it's always been part of my life habit. And as you know, because you've been around me for 35 years, it can be quite irritating to people who don't like to make change all the time. But clients who tend to hire us, that's why they're hiring us. So clients tend to resonate with my style of, where are we going? What's the market looking at? How do we make that change? But, you talked about
continual optimism.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm that optimistic. I'm scared to stay still. But it's so maybe it looks like optimism to some, but I am scared of yesterday's habits. Always been. But and it's not just the sales-oriented ones, because we work for some very large institutions that have gone virtual in their way of working, and they're managing people differently. So they're operating with a visionary perspective. We're working with family businesses where we were doing a lot of family business restructuring and team building, and now we're doing team building via Zoom. And it's easier to set the goals for the family because everybody's entering the meeting knowing if we don't make change, we're in trouble. So it's actually getting a little bit easier to do a lot of family business work than we were before.
Well, and I think I'm seeing that as well in our client organizations where, those who aren't adapting and willing to make the change have been quick to be on the chopping block. I mean, again, I hate to put it in a negative spin in terms of that, but, as an employee, you've got to look at it and say, okay, what is my value to this organization? How can I provide value to this organization so that, they can use me in some role for the foreseeable future. And hopefully as this thing turns around, I can go back to my more traditional role.
Well, anyone who knows me knows that I'm not a big fan of institutions. Sometimes institutions, the mission becomes more about the protection of the institution than optimizing the client opportunity within an organization. And in this environment, we really the key to focusing on making that change is really building the right culture. We can build more productive cultures in this economy because everybody's waking up saying, I'm prepared to make change because I know yesterday's not working anymore. And I still believe that, yes, strategy is important right now, but culture beats strategy 3-1. So set your strategy quick, but work on your culture every day, all day long. And you and I have seen where certain companies are breaking down, where they're using a power management to make change without a lot of participation, and then they're seeing leadership as a method of banging the table and creating fear. And creating fear is not going to get you the result you want. And I know you're seeing that as well.
Yeah, and I think that's again, you got to manage for tomorrow, not for today. Everybody's in this crisis together, figuring out what as you say, pointing the strategy out, figuring out what your strategy, and get going. But then it's about aligning people behind it, as always, getting people aligned, getting them motivated, and getting them working in one direction.
Right. So, and I think that's important because, again, a lot, that fear thing, I know it really bothers you and I. A lot of our conversations over the last week have been around companies that we know that have been optimizing fear versus building new strategy and new culture, or a productive culture. And I've had conversations with some of these leaders about, these people, they're more scared than you are. You have savings. The people who work for you, they're living paycheck to paycheck. They have debts. Their debts might be growing right now. They have mortgages. They have kids in school, and they're more scared than you are. And you've got to keep them together as a team, and scaring them is not helping them.
So I agree. So it's one of the things that you don't, we encounter all the time in the type of work that we do. I'm going to use the word empathy, leaders showing empathy. And, there's often a very big disconnect between their worlds and the worlds of their employees. We've got a lot of clients who are very successful in what they do, and their businesses have been very successful. And yet they have people within their organization that do live paycheck to paycheck. And it's a very different world. So, I think, I guess I'm asking you, are you seeing, or is that part of what you're driving at people is, look, you've got to look at a case by case basis, look at your employees, you've got to put yourself in their shoes and see what their fear is in order to address it, and to adopt a culture and manage a culture and develop a culture of empathy in this environment.
Well, I would say all except one. I've reached out to every employee on our staff in the last 24 hours to talk about change and their role in the change process. I'm trying to get them excited about it. I know that we have an employee connected to this interview right now, and he's doing something that he never would have thought he would have been doing 2 weeks ago or even a week ago. And as soon as we brought it up to him, he jumped on it. He got all excited about it. We have another employee I'm meeting with later
Trying
today.
To get his video to get his video camera going, but he's refusing. I see his microphone's turned off.
He's the good-looking millennial. I don't know why we don't have his picture. And I,
Couple of gray beards.
and you saw me yesterday on texting with you, group texting with another employee who had gone after a rescheduling of some important work in what I would call a traditional mode. And within an hour, we had rescheduled in a much more modern, more adept type of way using the new technology, and we had confirmation on it. Reaching out to our employees and letting them know that we're still open as a business is important. A lot of leaders are reaching out, and the point should be made, they're reaching out to their clients. They're not reaching out to their employees. And you know what? One, reach out to all your clients right now. Reach out to all your prospects. Call them. This is where the phone is helpful. Let them know that you're still in business. Let them know you want to know what they're looking for in this economy, that you're adaptable and you're going to change what you're doing. We talked to a client yesterday. We're not sure they talked to any of their clients.
That's a really important point. I think, as organizations grow and entrepreneurs and owners get further and further away from a client base, this is an opportunity to reconnect with that client base and get back in touch with them. And I think that's something, you're managing in a crisis, clients, employees first.
Well, again, making lemons out of lemonade, making change, that's what leadership is all about. Look, I'm not saying this is not a scary situation, but if you could have told me last month that we could do our full billings as a consulting firm, and I could be wearing my baseball cap and a Nike shirt to go to work and talking to my staff and working, I'd say, okay, and having my doggy right beside me, I think like, wow, what a great deal. That works for me.
Yeah, I think, we're all fortunate that globally that this didn't happen 20 years ago. We'd all be stuck in the mud. But now, given technology and given the opportunity to do things, it's really amazing. So change your mindset, change your habits, but plot on.
Look, it is what it is. And again, I think that what we said earlier, looking at business the way you did yesterday, holding on to yesterday's methodologies is not going to make you successful. You need to sit down. If you need a facilitator and someone to help you who understands not just the business, the market, but also how do you make change with people, having somebody to talk to about that is very helpful now more than ever before. We've always found in our business over 30 years and for 35 years, and for those who don't know, we've worked with over 700 companies. So we have a template of many downturns, and that is that you can make more positive change in a down economy than you can in an up economy, because everybody thinks they're smarter than they are in an up economy. So this is the time. It is what it is. Make your change, get the help you need, but make change.
Absolutely. To that point, Jeffrey, if people want help and are reaching out and looking for somebody to help guide them, support them, coach them, work through change in their organizations, what's the best way for them to reach you?
Well, your biggest criticism of me over the years is that I love to work, and I love to work 24/7, and I set a bad model for everybody. You can call my cell phone, text me 617-462-4738. Send me an email, jdavis, that's the letter J, at mageusa.com. I love talking to people. I love questions. I don't have to be billing. I just like the questions. I like to help. Feel free to send me a note. Like it.
Blowing up your cell phone. Love it. Anyways, this is Radio Entrepreneurs, our Zoom edition, and coming to you virtually, Jeffrey Davis, chairman and founder of MAGE. It's been a pleasure having you on Radio Entrepreneurs, and we'll let you get back to your busy day.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. Great working with you. Keep up the good work.
All right, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nathan.